The light bends slow across the floor, like it forgot what it came here for. Dust in the air, drifting low, where quiet things are left to grow. A record spins but says no name, only circles without a claim. And somewhere past the silver frame, the window keeps the rain. I never ask the sky to stay, it always finds its softer way through every street and every pain. It writes in water, signs in rain. So let it fall, don't close the blinds. Some things are clear or undefined, in every drop against the grain. The window keeps the rain. And if the day forgets its shape and all the colors slowly fade, there's something gentle in the gray that asks for nothing back again. Your cup is warm between your hands, steam rising like unspoken plans. We talk in pauses, small and thin, letting silence settle in. The clock hums low, it doesn't mind the spaces we don't try to find. Outside the glass, a softer time unfolds without a line. I never thought to name the air or trace the weight of staying there, but every drop that finds the pain leaves something it can't explain. So let it fall, don't turn away. There's more in what we never say, between the hush and window frame. The rain repeats our name, and if the night leans close and slow, with all the things we do not know, there's something tender in the gray that doesn't need to be explained. Maybe the storm is only sound, a softer way the world spins round. No shattered glass, no breaking light, just silver threads across the night. If we stay still, it passes through. Not me, not you, just something passing by, like weather in disguise. So let it fall, we'll let it be. Not every truth needs clarity, in every drop against the pain, there's comfort in the rain. And when the morning finds its tone and sunlight claims the room its own, we'll know without a word or sign what stayed, what slipped, what was never mine. The record turns, the needle remains, and somewhere soft inside the frame, the window keeps the rain. There's a space beneath the sound where nothing tries to be profound, just air that lingers thin and slow, a place the daylight doesn't go. The rain has softened every street, turned hurried steps to careful feet, and in the hush we sit and find the things we leave between the lines. Your sleeve brushes against the wood, the kind of touch that almost could become a word but lets it pass, like shadows moving over glass. The record hums, then hums again, a fragile loop that doesn't end, as if it knows what we won't say and keeps it safely tucked away. Between the quiet lines we trace, there's something time cannot erase, not loud enough to rearrange, but soft enough to let remain. No need to turn the moment bright, it lives just fine without the light. In every pause we leave behind, there's more than we define. The cup has cooled beside your hand, steam no longer makes a stand, but still the warmth is somewhere near, like something felt but never clear outside. The leaves bend low and slow, the rhythm only rain can know, and in that steady silver tone we're less together, less alone. Between the quiet lines we keep, promises we didn't speak, not meant to carry or to bind, just gently resting in the mind. No sudden turn, no grand design, just water slipping down the spine of glass that holds but doesn't claim the shape of what remains. Maybe it's better left this way, half in shadow, half in day. Not everything that feels like flame was ever meant to bear a name. If we let silence do its part, it finds its way from heart to heart, without a sound, without a sign. Between the quiet lines, between the quiet lines we stay, where nothing else will see the way. Not closer now, not further gone, just here until the rain moves on. And when the room begins to clear and morning edges slowly near, the spaces where we didn't try will still be there, untouched, untied. There was a glow along the wall, a quiet shift almost too small to name or keep or turn around. It moved without a single sound. The rain had thinned to silver threads, drifting past the rooftops' edges, and in the glass a softened hue of something passing through. You traced a circle on the wood, as if the grain had understood how every line can bend away from what it almost meant to say. No doors were closed, no windows wide, just evening leaning from outside. And in that leaning faint and slow, a light we used to know. It wasn't ours to hold too tight, it flickered in and out of sight. Not meant to anchor or to claim, not meant to carry any name. Like rain that fades before the ground, or footsteps barely making sound. It stayed just long enough to show the light we didn't hold. Warm but never still. The air had learned the windowsill, where drops would gather, hesitate, then disappear without debate. Your voice was softer than before, like distant waves against a shore. Not pulling close, not drifting far, just resting where we are. Some things are clearer, left untraced. Not every glow was meant to stay. It lingers in a borrowed space, then quietly slips away. It wasn't ours to turn to flame, or right within a lasting frame. It shimmered just beyond control, a quiet borrowed glow. And in the hush before the night, when colors lose their need for light, it settles somewhere in the fold, the light we didn't hold. If we had reached, would it remain, or fade like water down the pane? Perhaps it lives more honestly in what we let it be. No shattered spark, no fallen star, just something gentle where we are, unbroken, even uncontrolled, the light we didn't hold. It wasn't ours to keep or save. Not every tide becomes a wave. Some things are truest when they go and leave a softer glow. And when the rain dissolves the day and evening slowly turns away, we'll find within the quiet fold the light we didn't hold. We didn't hold. The street is blurred in silver lines, as if the day has lost its spine. Reflections bending at my feet, of passing cars in empty seats. The leaves are pressed against the stone, like letters never fully shown. And every drop that finds the ground makes less and more of every sound. Your coat still hangs beside the door, though no one reaches for it anymore. The fabric keeps its quiet shape, like something time forgot to take. The table holds a ring of light from cups that cooled before the night. No witness left, no careful claim, just circles left by rain. If the rain remembers how it fell against this window now, does it recall the softer days that drifted through these rooms in haze? Not asking why, not asking when, just passing over us again. In silver threads it seems to say what never chose to stay. A garden leans toward the fence, as if it waits in patience for footsteps that won't mark the stone, or hands that won't return its own. The air is thin but full somehow of something neither here nor now, a shape that lingers at the frame without a face or name. I never tried to hold it still or press it to a certain will. Some things dissolve without a sound and settle deeper underground. If the rain remembers more than what the water's falling for, perhaps it carries in its flow the weight of what we used to know. Not meant to stay, not meant to bind, just quiet traces left behind in every drop against the pane. A memory without a change. Maybe the sky forgets as well what it once held, what it once felt, and all that's left is softened air, moving through what isn't there. No broken vow, no shattered frame, just weather passing through the same old room that's slowly rearranged without a word exchanged. If the rain remembers still the way it traced the windowsill, then let it fall without defense through time and quiet distance. And when the clouds have drifted far and evening dims the nearest star, there'll be a hush that There's a line upon the glass where the rain begins to pass. It hesitates, then disappears, like something said between the years. The room is neither dark nor bright, just folded into early night, a quiet shape beside the chair of someone almost there. The clock refuses to be loud. It ticks beneath a thinning cloud of thoughts that drift but never land, like writing drawn in sand. I let them come, I let them go, without deciding what they know. Some things arrive without a sound, then slowly turn around before it fades, before it turns to air, before it leaves without a trace of where. I hold it still, not tighter than before, just long enough to feel it once more. The window hums a softer tone, a language made of rain alone. No promise in its silver thread, no final word is said. The floor remembers where we stood in ways that would somehow just could. A weight that wasn't meant to stay but never moved away. Before it fades, before it thins to light, before it drifts beyond the edge of sight, I let it rest where it has always been, between the breath and what might have been. There is no need to call it back, no need to follow every track. Some echoes soften as they fall and mean the most of all. Before it fades, like water on the stone, before it leaves me here alone, I let it stay as long as it remains a quiet mark, like rain. The curtains move without a sound, a quiet breath that fills the room. The rain is softened to a mist that lingers in the afternoon. The shadows lean against the wall, not heavy, not in need of name. They shift a little as the light arrives and stays the same. There's dust that turns to silver air when evening finds the wooden floor. It floats between the here and then and asks for nothing more. The chair beside the narrow desk still keeps its patient shape, as if it knows that certain things were never meant to escape. Where the light rests on the edge of everything, there's a space that doesn't cling. Not a promise, not a plea, window holds a fading sky in shades of blue that slowly bend. No sudden turn, no final line, no need to comprehend. The air is warm enough to stay, cool enough to let it pass, like water finding its own way across the silent glass. Where the light rests between the night and day, there's a trace that doesn't fade away. Not a memory, not a claim, just something soft without a name. Maybe it was never meant to echo loud or permanent. Maybe it was always this, a quiet coexistence. Where the light rests on the turning of the hour, there's a calm without a power. No returning, no goodbye, just the stillness passing by. The rain has thinned to fragile lines, barely touching window glass. It falls as if it's unsure how long it's meant to last. The room is wider than before, though nothing moved at all. A silence stretching quietly from ceiling down to wall. Your shadow doesn't linger now, but something still remains. A weight too light to hold in hand, yet heavier than rain. The air remembers how to turn around an absent shape, like water circling a stone it never could escape. In the space between us, there's a breath that doesn't end. Not a word spoken, not a message sent, just a quiet distance, settling in slow, like winter finding places snow won't show. The clock continues faithfully, unaware of what it keeps. Its rhythm neither cruel nor kind, it only counts the deep. The hallway holds a colder tone at this late hour of day, as if the light forgot to stay and gently slipped away. I never asked for more than this, a moment standing still. But even stillness has a way of bending to its will. In the space between us, there's a thread too thin to see. Not a promise, not a plea, just a fading outline drawn against the rain. Something that was almost something that remains. distance isn't far. Maybe it's a smaller scar carried underneath the skin, where no one's ever been. In the space between us, there's a light that won't appear, not in sudden brightness, not in something clear, just the quiet echo of a softer time resting in the hollow between yours and mine. The rain no longer rushes down, it settles in a slower way, like something choosing not to fall, but simply stay. The window holds a softer gray, no sharp edges in the sky, just quiet light that bends a little before goodbye. The room has learned a gentler tone, it doesn't echo quite as far. The corners seem to understand exactly where you are, not in the chair, not by the door, not framed against the air, but somewhere folded in the hush that lingers there. In a warmer silence, nothing needs to break, nothing needs to answer or awake. It rests between the heartbeats, soft and undefined, not asking to be held, not left behind. Floorboards keep their patient grain, they do not question weight, they only hold what passes through and quietly relate. The air has lost its colder edge, it moves without a claim, like breath against a winter glass without a name. In a warmer silence, there's no need to mend, no unfinished sentence to defend, just a slower turning of the hour, like rain against the window, soft as power. Maybe distance changes shape when held without escape. Maybe what we couldn't keep still finds a way to sleep. In a warmer silence, light begins to bend, not toward returning, not toward an end, just a quiet presence, deep and slow, like rain remembering how to glow. It rain has found a quieter way. It falls but does not press against the glass or into thought, or ask for anything less. The sky is neither dark nor clear, it simply stays between a muted shade of silver blue, soft and unseen. The room no longer feels too wide, it holds its shape with ease. The air moves gently through the space like untroubled seas. The chair beside the window rests without a trace of strain, as if it understands the weight of what remains. There is a light that settles slowly down, not in a rush, not with a sound. It finds the edges of the day and softly stays. The clock continues as before, but softer in its tone. Its steady rhythm feels less sharp, more quietly known. The floor beneath a careful step no longer seems to bend. It holds the echo gently now, without pretend. There is a light that does not need to rise, it simply rests behind the eyes, not asking where or how or why, just passing by. Perhaps the heart remembers how to loosen what it held. Perhaps the rain was never meant to keep what once had swelled. There is a light that settles in the room, not to replace, not to consume, but to remain soft and slow, like something learning how to glow. The rain has almost disappeared, it lingers on the stone. Not falling hard, not calling out, just quietly alone. The sky no longer leans too low, it stretches without strain, a pale and steady shade of blue after the rain. The room has found a different tone, it breathes without restraint. The air moves through the open space, untroubled, calm and faint. The chair remains beside the wall, no heavier than before. It does not wait for anything, nor guard the door. After the quiet, there's nothing left to mend, no thread to follow, no curve to bend, just a slower turning of the day, like light that finds its way. The clock continues as it should, but now it feels aligned. Its steady pulse no longer pulls or leaves a mark behind. The window holds the fading light without a need to claim. The glass reflects a gentler face without a name. After the quiet, there's nothing left to say. No scattered pieces to rearrange. Just a settled rhythm, deep and low, like water learning how to flow. Perhaps the rain was never lost, perhaps it only passed, and what remained was simply this, a stillness meant to last. After the quiet, the room is still the same. Not brighter, not aflame, but steadier somehow than it has been until now. The rain returned without a sound, not heavy, not profound. It traced the glass in thinner lines, as if unsure it should be found. The sky had nearly cleared away, but something pulled it back. A quiet gray across the light, a nearly hidden crack. I thought the room had learned its shape, had settled into place, but now the corners shift again with subtle, careful grace. The chair remains beside the wall. It feels a little far, as if the space between the wood has widened where you are. Almost steady, almost fine, almost past the thinner line, almost certain it would stay, almost that way. The clock continues as before, but now I hear it more. Its steady pulse beneath the air, a quiet undertow. The window holds a softer blur than earlier today. Not quite the storm, not quite the calm, just somewhere in between the gray. Almost steady, almost through, almost nothing left to undo, almost resting in the frame, almost the same. Perhaps the heart relearns the weight of what it chose to fold. Perhaps the quiet after rain is never fully whole. Almost steady, almost light, almost turning toward the night, almost settled in the rain. the glass, it seems to sink instead into the spaces left behind, where quieter things are said. The sky has folded into gray without a seam or line. No sudden break, no opening, no distant sign. The room is smaller than before, or maybe I am less. The walls lean in without a sound, in patient stillness. The chair beside the window stands, but feels too far to reach, as if the air between the shapes refuses speech. Beneath the surface, where nothing moves, there is a weight that never proves. Not rising, not undone, just resting without the sun. The clock continues out of sight. It's ticking deep and slow, a rhythm under everything I cannot let go. The light has thinned to nearly none, a shade without a name. Not dark enough for night to fall, not bright enough for flame. Beneath the surface, there's no sound, no scattered pieces to be found. Just something settled far below, too still to show. Perhaps the rain was never rain, but something held inside. Perhaps the quiet after loss is where the echoes hide. Beneath the surface, there's no air, no reaching out, no prayer, just the slow returning of what remains, unmoved by rain. The rain has left the window bare, but something stays behind. A trace too faint to hold in hand, too present to unwind. The sky no longer presses down, yet never opens wide. It rests upon the quiet air, with nowhere left to hide. The room is still, but not at ease. It listens without sound, as if the floor beneath the light remembers what it found. The chair beside the empty wall has not returned to form. It keeps a subtle curve of weight from something once warm. Still underneath the surface lies a slower ache that never cries, not breaking, not undone, just quietly clock continues out of sight, it's ticking far below. A pulse that neither fades nor swells, just steady in its flow. The light that once had found the room now hovers thin and pale, not strong enough to lead the dark, not weak enough to fail. Still underneath, there's something there, not in the voice, not in the air, just in the space between the rain, a trace that lingers without a name. Perhaps the quiet keeps a shape we never meant to see. Perhaps what sinks is not erased, but folded quietly. Still underneath the softened ground, there is a sound without a sound, not rising, not apart, just settling inside the heart. The rain has left the narrow street, a silver trace along the stone. The sky is lighter than before, but not completely known. The window stands without a mark, no trembling on the glass, only a quiet aftertone of something that has passed. The room has settled into form, it holds the shape of day. The chair remains beside the wall, but does not seem to sway. The air is thinner now, perhaps, or maybe I can breathe without the weight of falling drops pressing underneath. I'm carrying the rain, not in my hands, not in the sound it makes upon the land, but somewhere in the turning of the hour, like something soft without a power. The clock continues as it should, its rhythm calm and plain. It does not ask for anything, it does not explain. The door is open just enough to let the daylight in, not bright enough to blind the dark, but bright enough to begin. I'm carrying the rain inside the quiet air, not as a storm, not as despair, just as a trace that chose to stay within the light of every day. Perhaps the sky will cloud again, perhaps it will remain, but even if it starts to fall, I'll know the shape of rain. I'm carrying the rain, we're walking walking toward the street with steady breath and steady feet, not free of what has been, not far from where I've lain, just living with the rain.